Jesus, in today's gospel passage, addresses an important aspect of our life. And Matthew, in his gospel, by bringing this question of a Pharisee to Jesus, is actually addressing his community of believers. Is it lawful for a man to divorce his wife? And how does Jesus respond? Jesus responds by giving to people God's original vision of marriage. Marriage is sacred. Marriage is holy. Marriage is a vocation. Marriage was instituted by God. Marriage was ordained by God. And because God intended marriage, because God instituted marriage, marriage is sacred because it is a calling that comes from God. Just like any calling, just like my calling to priesthood is holy, so is your calling to marriage holy and sacred because it comes from God. And that's why Jesus takes this question and addresses this question by going back to the book of Genesis, going back to the very beginning of life, that it is not good for man to be alone, and so therefore God ordained and instituted marriage. Therefore a man shall leave his father and mother and cling to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh. And what God has united together, let no man separate. Today, this institution of marriage is threatened. Threatened from every quarters. Today, people no longer believe in the institution of marriage. There's a rise in the number of separation, divorce. The latest trend among millennials and Gen Z, that they don't even want to enter into this institution of marriage. To make a commitment is a struggle. It is in this context, my dear friends, the challenge before us is to save this institution of marriage. To help people believe in the institution of marriage as the only way forward to save humanity. For humanity passes by way of the family. Pope Francis, in his various address and homilies, has discussed on this issue of marriage. And in his own style and humor, brings about 6 tips for married couples of how they could really save their marriage, how they can reignite the magic of love in their marriage, and how their marriage can be a witness to others and inspire them to believe in this institution of marriage. The first thing that Pope Francis says, end every day with forgiveness. There will always be fights in our homes and in our marriages. And in his humorous way, Pope Francis says, sometimes there could be plates flying around. It's okay to have arguments. None of us are perfect. And because none of us are perfect, we have to accept our vulnerabilities and be willing to forgive. Never end your day without forgiveness. Extend this forgiveness. Be willing to say sorry and start afresh. It's okay to have arguments. We will have our pitfalls, but never end your day without forgiveness. Be humble enough to say sorry. Accept your faults and start afresh. Second, ask permission. Never take your partner for granted. Discuss, dialogue, plan together where you want to go for a meal out, or whether you would like to spend the holidays with your in-laws. Take your partner into confidence by discussing, talking. That's a courteous way, by seeking permission. I know we are adults, we are mature, we make our own decisions. But in marriage, we make decisions together. And together we plan. So have that humility to ask permission. Never take your spouse for granted. Third, show gratitude. Your spouse is God's gift to you. And be grateful to God and to your spouse. Appreciate your spouse. Be willing to say as simple things as thank you. It goes a long way. Appreciation builds your marriage. It brings confidence into your partner. You're willing to see the good in your partner. Be grateful. Show gratitude to your spouse. You know, seldom do we appreciate our spouse when, she prepares a lovely dish, or when she dresses up for you, or when your husband works hard, or does something wonderful. These little things go a long way when you appreciate and show gratitude. Fourth, help your spouse to reach his or her greatest potential. In marriage, your spouse's interest, you should have your spouse's best interest. To see the best and to help your spouse to reach the best potential and support and encourage, that will go a long way in helping your marriage. Fifth, keep alive the romance. Never stop loving. Never stop dreaming about your spouse. Go out on a date. Show signs of love and affection like touch or caress. All this goes a long way in reigniting the magic of love. Keep the romance alive. Marriage is exciting just for a year or two, but romance seems to fade away. But keep that magic of love alive. And finally, don't give up so easily. Don't give up so easily. Today, couples have no patience. They want everything right away. We're living in a kind of an instant gratification or instant world. We want things right away, and we run away when we face even the little challenges. We just want to pack our bags and move. No, that's not the way. When you entered into this covenant, you should have only one intention: to make this covenant last a lifetime. And that's what you say on the day of your marriage, that in good times and in bad, in sickness and in health, until death do us part. Until death do us part. I will love you and I will be faithful to you. Be true to those vows every day, every moment. When you enter into marriage, you want this marriage. And you will work for this marriage to last a lifetime. So let us today, as we celebrate this Eucharist, lift up to God all married couples. In a survey where there was an altar in their families, there was only one divorce out of 500 marriages. In other words, the families that pray together, come before the presence of God every day, there's only one divorce out of 500 marriage. Marriage, prayer is your best insurance against divorce. The family that prays together stays together. Pray for that grace. And pray and intercede for couples who are struggling in their marriage, that they may see the hand of God and keep their marriages sacred and holy and work to be together For this is God's will and plan for you. Amen.